welcome back to my channel, and today's video is finally going to be an actual look. I'm not gonna lie to all of you, I think I had to like build up the courage to do a look again. It legitimately has been over a year since I've picked up like a colorful palette and actually put vibrant colorful eyeshadows on. I have a shirt on, guys. It's just a strapless one, so I'm gonna be talking like this because you know you really can't move your arms when you have one of these on. So yeah, I was a little like fearful of getting into like an actual look and then just royally jacking it up. But when Jaclyn Hill came out with her Vault collection, I had to buy it. I literally bought it the day it came out. And there's been tons of controversy on this palette about it being inconsistent, about the quality not being good. Like I said, I got it the day it came out, guys, and from using these for the first time today on camera, I'm obsessed with them. They're great. They blended beautifully. I don't know what people are talking about when they say that it's patchy and not consistent. I don't know. I guess I got a good one. Or people are just being haters. I don't really know. I used because there's quite a few, there's 4. So I used the Armed and Gorgeous palette, and that's what this one looks like. And then I used the Bling Boss. Do you guys see how I'm really not trying to lift my arms? The Bling Boss palette. So those are the 2 palettes that I used to create this look. I also did get Jaclyn Hill's master collection in the brushes. So I literally have all of the brushes sitting right here that I used in the collection. I think I used 20 out of the 26 brushes that she created in the master collection. So in her video, she did talk about how there are quite a few brushes, but in order to achieve like really beautiful full face, full glam looks, I did actually use almost all of the brushes. So I think she did a really good job on this collection. I love the quality of the brushes. I've always loved Morphe brushes, and anytime Jaclyn Hill does do a collaboration with Morphe, it's like their quality is like tenfold. I don't want to keep babbling. This intro is pretty long, but I don't know about you. I don't know where you guys live. I don't know where you are, but here in Jersey, it is legitimately 59 degrees. It's officially fall as far as I'm concerned. Starbucks is already serving pumpkin spice lattes, so it's fall. I don't care what the calendar says. It's freaking cold. I'm wearing a sweater and pumpkin spice lattes are out. So this is my first official look of the season for fall. I really do love how it came out. It's a combination of like orangey yellows with some purples in there. I really do love how it came out. So if you guys want to see how I got this look, just keep watching. Alright guys, so I have one of my eyes already done just to make this a little quicker, but to prep my eyes, I am going to be taking the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This is legitimately the only brush that I'm using that isn't from the Jaclyn Hill collection because I didn't want to use the definer brush and get it wet with concealer. However, the first brush I do use in the Jaclyn Hill collection is the 08 brush. It is a blending brush for any cream or liquid products, so I do take this brush to distribute the concealer on my lid. And to set that concealer, I'm taking the JH30 brush. It's just a fluffy blending brush. And I'm taking the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. I'm going to be taking the lightest shade in the palette to set that, being that neither of the Vault palettes that I'm using had a light enough shade to set. So I'm just going to take that lightest shade with this brush and I'm just going to dust it all over the lid to set the concealer. Finally, grabbing the first palette, the Armed and Gorgeous palette, we're going to be taking that first shade called Access on the same brush we were just using to set the lid, and I'm going to just lightly dust this into the crease, doing windshield wiper motions and circular motions going back and forth from the outer corner all the way to the inner corner. When setting your transition shade down, you always want to start off light and then build the color up, especially because these shades are allegedly very pigmented. Starting off light and building up the color is better than starting off with a lot, so you definitely want to take your time with the transition shade and build it up. Now grabbing the JH33, which is a really nice like pinched styled blending brush, and the shade Secure from the Armed and Gorgeous palette, I'm just going to take this color and really work it into the crease. I'm not going to blend it upward the way I did with that shade Access and the first brush. What's really nice about brushes like this is when it's pinched, it makes it easy to keep the color in the crease, especially when working it in windshield wiper motions as opposed to circular motions. However, when I do work this shade in the outer corner, I am going to push it out a little bit more, just to create a little bit more of a smokier effect and blend it into that shade excess. And then when working in the inner corner, I'm going to keep it really tight and really in the crease. So the objective is just to blend this shade as seamlessly as possible into the transition shade. So you do want to take your time with this also, but doing more so windshield wiper motions when working in the crease and circular motions only when working in the outer outer corner. Now, this next technique you guys are going to see me do is really important. As you can see, I grabbed the original brush that I used to blend in that initial transition shade, and I'm basically taking that shade again, Access, and then I'm diffusing the two shades together. And then I'm going to go back in with that shade Secure with the more pinch styled blending brush, and I'm going to go back in the crease. And then I'm going to just keep going back and forth between Access and Secure and the two brushes. Doing this and going back and forth every time you lay down a little bit more of the shadow is what's really going to give you that seamless blended look. It really is how you take your transition shade to the next level. Now taking this super tiny detailed brush, the JH40, into that shade Prowl, which is like a deep brown shade, I'm going to very lightly work this into the crease. I'm basically just going to go back and forth. This is really going to carve out the crease. It's really going to define the crease, and it's going to give the look some depth. This is also something you want to take your time doing. Because the brush is so tiny and so dense, you need to work with a light hand, and again, building the color up. The same technique that I talked about before, which was going back between Access and Secure, now I'm going to do the same thing using this brush and this shade with the other brush and the shade Secure. So this rule applies anytime you're really trying to create a seamless blend. You really want to keep going back with the shade you were using before it, blend it out with the brush you were using before it, go back in with that richer shade Prowl, and just keep blending it in, keep working it in. And now start taking that dark shade to the outer corner. This is how you're going to start laying down the foundation to that halo eye. So with the same brush and the same rich dark brown shade, you're going to see me work very strategically, small sections, taking my time, working it in the inner corner, the outer corner, and blending it upward into the crease. Take your time doing this step. It's really important with setting down, again, the halo eye effect. If you blend it inward too much, you can end up closing off the eye as opposed to creating the halo that you're trying to achieve. Finally, getting into the Bling Boss palette, we're going to go into that shade Spark. It is a beautiful, beautiful color with the same brush we were just using to lay down Prowl. Now, taking this color, you're basically going to go over the edges of the outer corner, inner corner, and crease of Prowl. So now we're basically blending this into that shade. I'm trying to marry these two colors together. So again, it keeps the crease nice and defined, but it's giving it now some vibrance and some color, and we're bringing it inward a little. Again, we're really just laying down the halo eye effect. So now that you've worked with some of these more richer, more vibrant shades like Prowl, like Spark, it's really important to grab your blending brush with that original transition shade. In this case, it's Access, and work your crease again. What ends up happening when you're using really rich, vibrant, colorful shades like the ones we've been using is your transition shade could get lost a little bit, including that crease shade, Secure, that orangey shade. So you're going to see me work Access back into the crease and Secure back into the crease. This is going to really help with blending out those more vibrant, richer shades, and it's going to also help make sure that that transition isn't going to get lost. It's going to still be present. It's going to still be visible. It's going to make your look really, really gradient, which is what makes it look so professional and so beautiful. Don't just keep piling colors on and piling colors on, and make sure you're going back, taking your time, doing it right. So after you've taken the time to blend out your work, go back in with a detailed brush, go back in with that vibrant shade Spark, and work your halo look a little bit more. Make it as deep and as vibrant as you want. I really want this color to stand out among the other colors, so I'm going to go back in, work the color in there a little bit more. Again, you make this as deep and as rich as you like. The next brush we're going in with is the JH41. It's a really nice flat eyeshadow brush, really great for packing on product. And we're going to go into the shade Ballsy in the Bling Boss palette. I'm taking this color initially dry on the lid just to kind of lay it out. Then I'm going to be taking the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray and dampening the brush, going back in with the shade, and then I'm going to be packing it onto the lid. You can clearly see the difference a damp brush makes. I didn't have my Fix Plus nearby, so I just used the setting spray and it worked just fine. And again, don't forget to smooth out the edges so you've laid out a new color. You want to go back in with the shade Spark and then work the edges of the Ballsy shade so that it looks completely seamless, it looks completely gradient. So work the edges of Ballsy into Spark to create your perfect halo eye. Now I had to whip out an oldie but a goodie, the Becca Face Palette by Jaclyn Hill. Obviously. I mean, I had to whip it out. It's so good. I'm using the JH42 teeny tiny detailed brush to highlight my brow bone with Champagne Pop from the collection. I do use the blush in this later, but I am using this to highlight the brow bone. I love Champagne Pop. It's my favorite. Now, taking a little break from the eyes, we're going to move on to the face. And before you do anything, make sure you take away or wipe away any fallout that may have fallen. Thankfully, not a whole lot fell out with these palettes, so awesome. Then I'm going to prime my skin with the CoverFx Blurring Primer. I have been loving this primer. It's pretty much the only primer I use on a daily basis. And taking the Temptu Shimmer Bronzer or Liquid Bronzer with my Fenty Beauty Foundation on the JH03 brush. This is like Jaclyn's favorite foundation brush of all time. It is so soft. So you go, girl. And I'm going to do one pump of the Fenty Beauty and then one drop of the Temptu. And then I'm going to just do circular motions and just buff this into the skin using circular motions and downward, never upward. And I know this foundation looks like it's a little light for my skin, but just so you guys know, the Fenty foundation does tend to oxidize a bit, so it will turn out just fine. And I do like how this brush applied my foundation. I used just as much product as I would with a beauty blender, so I was really happy about that. So after that, we're going to go in with the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer we were using earlier and the same brush, the JH08 we were using earlier, and I'm just going to place my concealer where I would typically. This brush was okay. It was probably my least favorite brush of the entire collection. I'll probably just stick to using my beauty blender since I did have to keep grabbing it to kind of just blend it out. It does a nice job blending, but it takes forever, and I do feel like in the inner corners or like the right underneath my eyes, it was really hard to get a nice even seamless blend. I kept finding it was streaky. And then it's things for like my nose, the small areas like my nose, my chin, around my lip, my forehead, things like that. I preferred the beauty blender. So it was just okay in my book. I'll probably just stick to using my beauty blender in the future. Now to set all that, I'm grabbing the CoverFx Perfect Setting Powder and this really intimidating, fluffy setting brush. It's huge, guys. It really is, but it really does get the job done, so here I go. It just sets my face super quick, so I really did like that. It really did just kind of quicken up the process, and it really is soft. It really is big. It's a perfect setting brush. No complaints here. To set underneath my eyes, I'm going to be going in with the JH07 into the Shade and Light palette, into the top two lightest shades. This is going to give me a nice highlighted effect. I particularly love this palette for setting underneath my eyes and highlighting. This brush is really similar to one I already have, so I already love it. It's probably going to replace the one that I use. So yeah, loving this brush. Alright guys, so moving on to the lower lash line, I already did one eye off camera, taking the first brush, which is the JH37 and that yellowish shade Access. I'm just going to blend this all along the lower lash line from the outer corner to the inner corner. Just blend back and forth. I am going to blend this fairly low because we are going in with other colors, so I want it to still stand out. You don't have to bring it as low as I did, but as long as you bring it all the way to the inner corner to the outer corner. The next brush we're grabbing is the JH38. It's literally just a small version of the brush we just used, and we're going to go into that orangey shade Secure, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to drag this all along the lower lash line from the inner corner to the outer corner, except I'm just going to keep this tighter, meaning closer to my actual lashes. I'm not going to blow it down as low as I did with the Access color, so I'm just going to marry these two shades together, very similar to how I set the transition shades initially. Now using the same brush, we're going to go into the shade Prowl, and I'm just going to blend this in the outer corner of the lower lash line and just make sure it meets on the outer corner of my lid. So I'm not dragging this into the inner corner. I'm just making sure it blends seamlessly with the top. And again, with the same brush, we're just going to go into the shade Sparks, and we're literally going to do the same thing and just blend that shade into the shade Prowl. I am going to bring this ever so slightly into the inner corner, but not all the way. So it's going to come in a little bit more than Prowl, but not all the way into Secure. So as per usual, go back in with your original blending brush. In this case, it's the JH37. Take the original shade Access and blend everything together. Now taking this flat definer brush, the JH43, I'm going to take a little bit more of that color Secure and really focus this on the inner corner so that this color can really stand out and really pop in the inner corner. Now I'm going to take MAC's Fascinating Eye Kohl into my waterline. I really found that putting a white in my waterline as opposed to a dark shade really brightened up the look, and it gave each color its own like moment. I feel like had I put a brown or a black, it would have made it really dark and took away from the look. And to highlight my inner corners, I'm going to take the Champagne Pop from the Face palette again, and I'm just going to highlight the inner corners with that really teeny tiny detailed brush that I used earlier for my brow bones. Now to bronze up the skin, I'm going to be taking the Too Faced Sweet Tea bronzer and the Pure Mineral Glow on the JH02 brush. This brush is literally the best bronzing brush I probably have ever used. I'm just going to mix these two colors together and bronze as I would typically. Nothing really special here. I love this combination together, and this brush really made bronzing really easy and really effortless. And now to highlight, I'm going to be taking the JH09 and Champagne Pop, of course, and I'm going to be taking this onto my cheekbones, right above my brows, my chin. I'm going to drag this down on the bridge of my nose and my Cupid's bow with a smaller, more detailed brush, the same brush that I use for my brow bones and my inner corner, and then my entire face is pretty much highlighted. Now to do a little contouring, I'm going to be taking the JH05 into the Shade and Light palette, into that center shade, and I'm just going to be contouring in the hollows of my cheek. I'm not really going to go anywhere else with this, being that I already did bronzing, so I'm just going to take this into the hollows of my cheek, and that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to be taking the JH04 blush brush, and I'm going to be going back into the Becca face palette, into the blush shade Amaretto, and I'm just going to blush up the apples of my cheek. Nothing really special here. Now taking L'Oreal's Voluminous mascara, I'm just going to coat my lashes to prep them for false lashes. I'm going to do a much heavier coat on my lower lashes and do a much lighter coat on my top lashes, being that I am popping on falsies. I do like to lightly curl my lashes too before popping on falsies. I don't curl them to the intensity I would regularly, but just a little so they're not like sticking straight out underneath the false lashes. I am going in with the House of Lashes Style Temptress. They're long and wispy, and I really did love them for this look. Now, before finishing off our lips, I'm going to set everything with the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. I'm literally going to drench this all over my face. I really do love what this does to the finished product. It really does melt all the powders with the liquids. It really just does an awesome job. Now, I'm going to fully line and fill my lips with this Morphe Sweet Tea lip liner. I find that when I fully fill my lips with a lip liner, my lipstick lasts much longer. And then I'm going to top that off with the Dose of Colors matte liquid lipstick in Stone, I believe I'm using. Yeah, this is a really popular shade for Dose of Colors, and the two colors together really just makes this fall look even more fall. And I'm gonna do a quick little outfit change, and that completes this look, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Mwah! Bye, guys!